Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news, and it looks like the end is close for Bruno Fernandes, Ruben Amorim, Manchester United and us, the fans. After a week of positive talks, Al Hilal feel that they are close to agreeing a deal with Bruno Fernandes. That's coming in from Ben Jacobs. Also Fabrizio Romano in the last half an hour confirming that the agent of Bruno Fernandes is now back to discuss the exit with Manchester United. So it looks like in the next few days we will get an end to this significant story, and also it looks significantly like it will be the end of Bruno Fernandes at Manchester United. Almost gone. There are still a couple of barriers to be hurdled, of course, and I think those barriers are certainly... Well, there's a few things I want to get into tonight. Why is this happening? Why are they ignoring the manager? How much are we going to get from this? How much will be spent from this? And what does this say for Manchester United when for the second time in 12 months, Bruno Fernandes has basically threatened to leave, and this time it looks like he will? What does it say for Manchester United? Because for me, it says we're rock bottom. There's not a positive out of this. This means we're rock bottom, but I accept that. And I think when you're rock bottom, you have to rebuild. So, look, very, very interesting. Lots to get into. I want to get your thoughts. I mean, I think it's a very emotive topic, and I think a lot of people are going to have very different opinions here. Respect that, please, tonight. People will have strong opinions. Let's get into those opinions. But one big thing I do want to talk about is, what does this say for Ruben Amorim? He doesn't want to do this, and the club will overrule him, potentially. Or are they? I've got a theory on that they're not overruling him, actually, but we will talk about that. Hello, everybody. Today's clip is supported by Sleeper. Before we dive in, let me tell you a bit more about Sleeper. This app is making serious waves. It was the #1 downloaded sports app in the US during the NFL season, even beating heavyweights such as ESPN and Yahoo. Sleeper isn't just popular, it's because they truly deliver the best fantasy experience. You get deeper customization, more league options, and all the bells and whistles that make managing your fantasy team a blast. But that's not all. Sleeper is growing a fantastic community with several million people using it daily for their sports fix. Sleeper has a broad appeal and is genuinely built for everyone. So, if you're looking to up your fantasy game, make sure to check out Sleeper by clicking the link in the video description. Trust me, you won't regret it. Like Schofield says, mixed feelings about Bruno leaving. I love the player, but I know it's needed for the squad to have a reset. Orange says Amorim's playing poker. He knows Bruno's gone. If Bruno leaves, it feels like... I don't know what that means, Dev. What's up, Mark? Hope you're doing well, says Joey. Hope we're all doing well tonight. I think it's going to be a big show tonight. A very, very significant Sunday night show. I think about the 10 years we've done the United Stand and some of the big stories we've had. You know, Ronaldo leaving, Ronaldo coming back. So many stories. So many managerial sackings. Very few high points. A few winning the Europa League with Mourinho, etc. But I think this is a significant point in the time that we've been doing this as a community tonight, to be digesting the fact that Bruno Fernandes... And I've up until this afternoon, I thought Bruno was staying. That was my hunch. I think he's going. I think he's going now. This is me saying I think he's going. It doesn't mean he is, but my hunch is that he's going to go now. Kizale says, if we sell Bruno, Rashford, Garnacho, Sancho and Anthony for 225, can we get Cunha, Gyökeres, Edison, Goncalves and a goalkeeper? I hope Onana departs after this as well. Look, we'll get into what happens next in relation to the transfers. What I want to talk about is how we got here. So Ben Jacobs is saying that Al Hilal now believe an agreement with Bruno Fernandes is close after a week of positive meetings. Fabrizio Romano said that Bruno's agent is back in Europe, ready to speak to Manchester United. Al Hilal are ready to pay whatever Manchester United want for Bruno. Talks will take place within the next few days between the club and Bruno to understand the situation. So I saw Cancelo out with Bruno. I saw the video of that. I've also seen João Neves speaking about Bruno at Hilal, saying, I'd advise any player in the national team to join Al Hilal. I wish any player from the national team was on my team. So, look, I think everything is pointing towards the fact that it's going to happen. I think there's two things I would say to start off with, because I want to talk about what happens next, and I want to talk about Amrim's role in this and whether the club would overrule him, or whether effectively Bruno could say he wants to leave, and Man United could say we gave you a new contract last year, we're not letting you go. So that could happen, but it's not going to happen, is it? Because I think there's two things we need to say here. First of all, one, Fabrizio will say it, Ben Jacobs will say it. Al Hilal will pay what it takes. You just say no to them. You say no to the first bid, 80 million, no. You say no to the second bid, 100 million. And if a third bid comes in, you could push them to 110, you could push them to 120. So that's what United need to do here. You don't take 80, you push them as high as you can get them, because they really want him. They wanted Salah. Salah decided to stay at Liverpool. Obviously, Neymar was there. So this is the player they're going for. This is the big player. They're going to play in the Club World Cup. They want a big signing. They're going to go big on this for Bruno if he says yes. The big thing for Al Hilal has always been, can they convince Bruno? Once they've convinced Bruno, they won't stop with United. They will pay whatever it takes. Fabrizio has said that all along. So even United can't mess this up. It's like, if Bruno says yes, they're very unlikely to walk away. So we have to do the right deal. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say, and why I'm very sure that he's going to leave now, is that I think Bruno Fernandes, reading between the lines from what people like Ben Jacobs and Fabrizio Romano are saying, I think Bruno's made his mind up. I think Bruno's decided he's going to go. I think the potential issue was what we were talking about at 2 o'clock, family, whether his wife wants to go and live in Saudi. But I would always say about that, David Beckham went to Real Madrid. Victoria didn't go with him. She didn't want to go to Madrid. So the life of a footballer and the family that follow him have to get on board with the fact that these things happen. It's a short career. You might end up living in Manchester. You might end up living in Miami. You might end up living in Saudi. You might end up living in Turkey. That's just the way it will be. I don't think Bruno's not going to go to Saudi just because his wife is a bit funny about it. I might be wrong, but I don't think that will be enough. I think he will go. The money is life-changing as well. It's life-changing money. But I think the big thing I wanted to say is, one, Man United can get what they want out of this now. But two, why has Bruno decided to do this? Why do you think Bruno's decided to do this? My theory is, last year, when we'd won the FA Cup and finished 8th, I think he was pissed off. I think he was pissed off that he, again, felt like it was all on him. He felt that the team was embarrassing to finish 8th, even though we won the FA Cup. We weren't in the Champions League, and I think he knocked on the door and basically said, you've brought people in like Mason Mount on 250 grand a week. They don't play and they're on more than me. What's the ambition of this football club? Because I've got offers. He had an offer from Saudi. There was interest from others. They offered him 300 grand a week. They spent 300 million quid. And I think Bruno was like, yeah, okay, that's what I want. You've given me the pay. You've spent the money. Okay. Within 3 months, they sack that manager, Ten Hag. They bring a new manager in with a new system. The club then has its worst ever season in Premier League football. And I think Bruno Fernandes finds himself again going, look, last year I said to you I wasn't happy, and I wasn't happy with the way the club was going. You backed the manager, you backed me, and a year later that manager's gone. We've had our worst ever season. We're not even in Europe. And I'm here again saying, like, well, I think it might be time to part ways, don't you? Now, the club might say, let's give you a pay rise. But I think from Manchester United's point of view, I think from Bruno Fernandes' point of view, it's very, very clear. And I was a bit shocked, but it's very, very clear that since this Al Hilal offer came in 3 weeks ago, Bruno didn't shut it down. I think Bruno was open to it. And that surprises everybody because you see his passion, dedication, and constant availability for Manchester United. I think you look at that and you go, he's going to say no. But he didn't. He never did. He never said no. He actually was like, what's on offer? Okay, and I think that at the end of the day, Bruno Fernandes, whether we like it or not, and I'm going to read some of your comments now, is turning his back on Manchester United. The question is, can you blame him? And I don't. Goldbridge, that's the end of the clip. I'm sure you enjoyed it. In fact, I bet that's the best clip you've ever watched. So there's no reason not to subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon so you never miss a clip again. In fact, smash a like on the video because we all know only legends like videos and you are all legends. So please smash a like on the video and we will see you again on the next one. Thank you very much for watching as always.